After centuries of pushing back the elder races, humanity ruled most of the continent east of the Great Sea, with the united Empire of Nilfgaard in the south, while the north was divided into rival kingdoms. By the 13th century, these northern realms included the neutral states of Kovir, Povis, and the Hengfors League, while the more aggressive kingdoms were Redania, Kedwin, Temeria, Edirn, Lyria, Rivia, Sidaris, Verden, Bruges, Sintra, Sodden, and the island of Skellige. Though each of these realms had governments to administer everyday operations, larger decisions were often influenced by the Brotherhood of Sorcerers, who sent their powerful agents to serve as advisors to the northern kings. Officially, kings had the final say, and in some cases exercised their power by banning magic users from their lands, but the Brotherhood represented a vast network of highly trained sorcerers, each of whom had their own small army of spies, informants, and allies, meaning that in most cases, they were able to convince or manipulate rulers into doing whatever they wished, and where that failed, they might have the monarch replaced. In the south, magic users were given far less deference, forced to abide by strict rules and regulations set by the state to prevent them from abusing their power. United under an emperor who held absolute authority, Nilfgaardian politics were ruthless and highly competitive, both for those seeking royal favor and those working against the ruling dynasty. After gathering support from a number of influential families, a nobleman known to history as the Usurper led a coup, killed the emperor, and assumed power. As a result, from 1239 to 1257, the empire fell under the rule of a man determined to expand his domain, marching north to conquer the lands of Ebbing, Mecht, Metina, and Nazaire. Despite his victories, the usurper had many enemies within the empire, and so a conspiracy was hatched to bring back the old dynasty. Working through a northern sorcerer named Vilgefortz, who had his own secret agenda, they contacted Emir var Emrys, the son of the murdered emperor, who after being cursed and exiled, posed as Urchion of Erlenwald to travel north, where he happened upon the king of Sintra and saved his life. Invoking the law of surprise for his reward, the king was honor-bound to give Urchion whatever was found upon returning home, but was not expected. In this case, the king found his wife pregnant with their daughter Pavetta, and so the child was destined to become the wife of this southern knight. Some years later, Urchion met the princess, and while he did not feel love, he saw in her a great opportunity for a better life. Pavetta, however, loved him deeply and eventually convinced her mother, Queen Calanthe, to accept their marriage. Through this union, his curse was lifted, and soon enough they had a daughter of their own they named Cyrilla. But everything changed when Prince Embyr was contacted by the sorcerer Vilgefortz, who not only promised financial aid and military support if he returned south to depose the usurper, but also argued that there was a far larger issue at play, and that the very fate of the world might rest upon his shoulders. Teaching the prince about the elven prophecy of Ithilin, she foresaw the doom of their world through an inevitable white frost. However, she also offered hope that the world might be reborn through a child of the elder blood. Thousands of years earlier, the elves used magical gateways to travel freely between the worlds of the multiverse, conquering and enslaving whoever they wished. Yet their use of this gateway required the help of the unicorn race, sentient horse-like beings with powerful magical abilities. Using and abusing the unicorns, they eventually rebelled and took the portal for themselves, leaving the elves to start a breeding program for the Elder Blood gene, creating a line of magic users so powerful they might one day regain control of the gateway. Yet their plan fell to shambles when the carrier Lara Doran fell in love with a human mage, abandoning her responsibilities to marry this man and birth his half-blood child. Although the Elder Blood gene would never be as powerful as it was under a full-blooded elf, the Brotherhood of Sorcerers took up the challenge of trying to ensure this unique mutation survived through a breeding program of their own involving the rulers of the North. But in the end, they failed to properly understand and keep track of it through the generations, until it was lost and later unexpectedly reappeared in the 13th century inside Princess Pavetta, daughter to the Queen of Sintra. The gene was then passed to Ciri, her daughter with Emir var Emrys, meaning their child was the key to Ithlin's prophecy, and through her line, the world might be reborn. Believing that the future depended on his daughter, he made a plan to fake their deaths in a boating accident and escape into the south. But Pavetta grew suspicious and smuggled their daughter away before they set out to sea. Upon learning what occurred, Emir grew furious and pushed Pavetta into the water where she drowned. The ship, meanwhile, was magically transported to safety by Vilgefortz, with Embyr as its only passenger. In order to recover his daughter, the prince gathered his allies and overthrew the Usurper to take his rightful place as emperor, and once in power, enacted a purge to eliminate all those who stood against him, leaving many to name him the White Flame, dancing on the barrows of his enemies. After consolidating power, Embyr focused on raising a mighty host to invade the north, starting with the conquest of Cintra, where he might at last capture his daughter. In 1263 AR, the First Northern War began with the invasion of Cintra, in which Nilfgaard won the Battle of Marnadel Valley before marching to the capital and killing the queen in a terrible slaughter. Though Princess Ciri was captured by a Nilfgaardian soldier, she managed to escape into the wilderness, alone and scared, finding shelter wherever possible until her inevitable reunion with the Witcher Geralt of Rivia. A highly trained monster hunter taught in the Wolf School of Kaer Morhen, Geralt was present at the feast where Princess Pavetta declared her love for Urchion of Erlenwald, and even played a role in events by saving Emmyr's life and ensuring the law of surprise was upheld. As a reward for his efforts, he too invoked the law of surprise, only to quickly find out Pavetta was pregnant. Although Geralt did not want to take the girl away from her family, Ciri knew they were destined for each other and awaited the day they would be together. Learning that they failed to apprehend his daughter, Embyr eventually put his old ally Vilgefortz in charge of the hunt. In addition to attacking Cintra, Nilfgaard also invaded the kingdom of Sodden, capturing half the realm through their victory in the First Battle of Sodden. Yet here they met their end, as the kingdoms of the north finally rallied together and halted any further expansion. Joining the allied armies was the Brotherhood of Sorcerers, who knew their rights and freedoms were also at stake in this clash of civilizations. The war then culminated in the Battle of Sodden Hill, where up to 100,000 warriors clashed, leaving the North victorious and Empire in retreat. This costly battle resulted in 30,000 casualties, including 13 dead sorcerers from the Brotherhood, and did not change the fact that both the kingdoms of Cintra and Sodden were gone. Signing an uneasy peace, Nilfgaard retained control of Cintra and Upper Sodden, while Lower Sodden went to the kingdom of Temeria. Love The Witcher or any other series? Then why not check out Audible, where they have the largest collection of audiobooks available. Sign up now and get 1 free audiobook and 2 Audible originals, or else give the gift of membership to someone you know. If you prefer to read your stories, then click on the link to the Kindle Unlimited plan and get access to as many ebooks as you want. If you haven't already, be sure to check out the excellent Witcher audiobooks, narrated by Peter Kenny, including the main novels and short stories which accompany the series. A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Admiral Flint, Sir Rick Lone, Sir Bob of the Buoy, and Average Soul. If you'd like to help the channel, go to patreon.com/CivilizationEx, where you can sign up and gain early access to videos, vote on future content, and access the Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.